Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. Thanks for being with me. Thank God for this show, and thank God for you all, and thank God for the greatest country He's ever put on the face of this earth, creating more opportunity than ever before and more freedom around the world than has been known in history. It's our job to talk about it. It's our job to maintain it and grow it. It's our job to try to stick to the Constitution. So there we go. Let me start by thanking my sponsors. That's Mortgage Financial Services here in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. And I was told the correct way to say it. They'll love the hell out of you. So there we go. I messed that up yesterday, got it right today. Had to think about it again. Hey, I want to talk about this article from the Christian Post. And the title of it is there a sacred versus secular divide to work? And this is why this struck me this morning. I'm in a good mood, don't get me wrong. I was just sitting there, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of tired. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing the podcast. I don't feel like going to work. I don't feel like, and then I'm like, this isn't what God wants. We're supposed to work as unto the Lord. And so then I just happened upon this article, if you believe in coincidence. And so it's kind of like, okay, our work is sacred. And the Bible certainly doesn't support, this is from the article, the Bible does not support the idea that work is secular and only spiritual activities like going to church, reading the Bible, or praying are sacred. So then here are some themes in it. This is what's best from you. You're going to spend 100,000 hours of your life working on average. Okay? And then it says, we're also among the nations that we take the least vacation days compared to other nations around the world. One, because we're paying for the rest of the world, security, and all the benefits that they get. But, no, I'll try not to rabbit hole too much. Then it says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work and to keep it. Genesis 2:15. We were meant to work to bring God glory since creation. Right? That's our purpose, to serve God. Now, with the fall, we made things harder on ourselves. Right? These are ways, and this article goes on to go into this, but I'm just going to give you some of the headlines. But we were never meant to, lounge around eating grapes and swimming in a river. I mean, we could do that, but we've always been meant to work. Look, even the angels have jobs. Okay, it brings them glory, or it brings them. It fulfills them to bring God glory by serving Him. Now, do I do a good job of that every day? No, I don't. Can I do better every day? Absolutely. So then it goes on to say, if we work and God provides, our work doesn't provide for us. And, and that's true. And I've always said, even, of course, I've always done sales and stuff like that action, and it's the old thing, action creates a reaction. If I'm out there getting it and hustling, even I might get a call from something completely elsewise on something different that's gonna help me hit my goal, or that's gonna help me pay my bills that month or that week or whatever I'm trying to do. The work, you're doing that, you're refining yourself, you're making it happen, but God ultimately provides. I know when I was going through my divorce and everything, financially things got tough. And I remember praying, just saying, God, I need some help, brother. This isn't good. I'm in dire straits. And then I got another job, right? And so now I had 2 jobs. And then I got another job. So then I had 3 jobs. And at one point I was working 4 jobs. But you know what? God was providing. All I had to do was work. He showed me the opportunity to go make that happen. Radio was one of those ways, which I enjoyed and for a time. And now has led to this show, right? Which I immensely enjoy. God will provide. We just have to work. It says all hard work, and this is all from the Christian Post, but this isn't from the Bible. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk only leads to poverty. Proverbs 14:23. You can talk about it all day. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go to the moon. But if you never leave your couch, it never happens. Also in Proverbs, it says that a clean stable, it isn't necessarily good, because if you have a clean stable, you don't have any mules in there to go pull the plow. Go get it. Then, we're supposed to work with excellence. And I'm just going through this article. All this, I've had these thoughts before, but not in this order. So a lot of this comes from the Christian Post. But work with excellence. Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord, not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. And that's in Colossians 3:23 and 24. Work unto God. Yeah, okay, you don't want to do it today? So what? Go get it, son. Go make it happen. It's not all peaches and rainbows every day. Now, once again, I'm not in a bad mood today. I was just feeling kind of lazy. And that's on me. And then I started praying about it. And then this article comes up. And then here we are. Right? And I've got a list of things I've got to get done afterwards. And I'm thankful for it. Thank God for the ability to go work. Thank God for the ability to go do what we need to do. Because you won't always have that. It says, trust the Lord for promotion. For promotion and power come from nowhere on earth, but only from God. Psalm 75, 6 through 7. Any promotion you get is a blessing from God. Look at it as such. Go do the work to put yourself in a place, but when you get it, that comes from God. There we go. Then this says to work hard. He who is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. Exactly right. Go get it. Work with a great attitude. He must not be arrogant or quick-tempered or a drunkard or violent or greedy for gain, but hospitable and a lover of good, self-controlled, upright, holy, and disciplined. Titus 1:7 through 8. Hey, we all got to work. And if you don't work, that's on you. And the consequences thereof are on you. And look, not that I'm not empathetic towards people's plights, but when I hear people talk about, oh, they get to do this and they get to do that, and I don't ever get that. Well, how hard have you worked? Even mentally, how much did you save? How did you set yourself up to go do these things? I don't want what your neighbor has. Don't covet if you're not willing to do what your neighbor's willing to do. I mean, there's a lot of that. Work to honor your fellow employees. Avoid gossip and backstabbing. Then it says, work to bring salt and light to the marketplace. We're supposed to demonstrate the joy that Christ brings in us. But here's the big one. Don't overwork. ChristianPost.com. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. You can't make work your idol. You can't make work what you worship. You've got to worship God, and you've got to know that you've got to go do your job, and you've got to go do it well, and you've got to be about it. But don't make it your idol. Don't make it your Lord. Don't serve your work. The same can be said. The same can be said about anything. Don't make your wife or your husband your idol. Don't make football your idol. Don't make deer season your idol. If the crappie are biting out at Millwood, don't make that your idol. Anyway, all that just kind of hit home, and I thought I'd start the show with that. Hey, we got to go get it. That's our lot. We're meant to work. We've always been meant to work in the garden. We weren't going to sit around in lazy boys drinking beers, watching football. That wasn't the plan. But have joy doing it. Thank God for the opportunity. I know when I was cleaning swimming pools, 110 outside, I'd jump in those swimming pools. Thank you, God, for letting me have a job where I've got a swimming pool real close. That's just the way it goes. All right, let's get into this. I just wanted to start with that, but let's get into some of these articles from the day. And let's actually start with, let's see. Okay, APnews.com, this is from yesterday. Texas Democrats plead for donations to extend their walkout and block Trump's redistricting plan. First of all, it's the redistricting plan of the Texas Republicans. Everybody keeps putting it on Trump. This, to the victor go the spoils. There's no law that says you have to do it every 10 years. The Texas legislature only meets every 2 years. We hardly ever have a diehard conservative in there. We surely don't now as a Speaker of the House. We just got to go do it. This is where we are. So these Democrats are looking for donations. Politicians ask for more money. It's never about the money until it's about the money, as they say. It just drives, hey, can you donate us money so that we don't have to go do our jobs? Can you pay for our hotel so that we don't have to go do our jobs? Can you do all these things so we don't have to go do our jobs? It's just crazy to me. It's amazing that that's even a thought. So anyway, I hope this all wraps up pretty quickly, and I think it will. 2 of them have already come home, so there's that. Here's something big from the Christian Post that I saw. Yesterday marked 80 years since we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. I think it was yesterday. It was one day this week. It says the nuclear age turns 80. How many of you saw that reported? How many of you thought about that? I know I didn't. I wouldn't have known unless I came across another article that I'm not going to talk about that was before this. 80 years since we dropped a bomb that killed, after radiation and fallout and everything, hundreds of thousands of people. I think it was 70,000 on impact and then 180 something eventually. Anyway, what a milestone. Then all the lives that were saved through that, putting us at the top of the mountain militarily that we have not come down from. Also showing us something that we hope we never have to use again. 80 years. That's wild. All right, moving on. Eric Doherty on X.com. It has just been revealed that despite, quote unquote, President Trump's tariffs, a whopping 82% of S&P 500 companies have beat their quarterly earnings, the highest rate in 4 years. The economists continue to get it wrong. And that's the media economists, those that hate Trump, those that want to see us stick into the to the same system that we've always had, doing the same things we've always done. He's right again. He continues to be right. I don't know why they continue to say, this guy's a crackpot. He's just making all this stuff. Number one, it's not all from Donald Trump. He's finding, we all have a circle of people that we know, inner circle, outer circle, and then just people that you know in passing. And as your influence grows, that circle grows. My circle's real narrow. However, once you have billions of dollars and businesses all around the world, you know a whole lot of people. And obviously Donald Trump is highly intelligent. So then he can figure out who else is highly intelligent. And he's done a good job of pulling those people out of the private sector and bringing them into the government to better our country. That's the thing. All these people on the Trump, not all of them, but most of these people on the Trump team have left lesser paying jobs so that so that they can serve our country. So of course they're trying to do what's best for it. They're not there to get rich. They're already rich. Anyway, that's on Eric Doherty on X.com. Now, here's something we knew the whole time Biden was in office. Here's something we knew the entire time. Benny Johnson on X.com, and this was also on News Nation. Economist Stephen Moore just exposed that Biden's Labor Department inflated job numbers by a staggering 1.5 million jobs in their last 2 years. We knew the numbers were fake. We knew there weren't all these jobs. We kept being told it's the greatest economy in the world. And now looking at how Biden, didn't even sign the pardons, looking at how Biden wasn't even told the information when he would say, well, it's the greatest economy ever. I believe they were just telling him that too. I don't believe that he knew he was being lied to. I think they were taking advantage of a frail old man. It's like when, that Saudi prince calls you grandma and tells her that or emails her and tells him that, hey, they need $8,000 to get out of jail, and then they're going to come and move over here and they're going to marry her and make her the happiest woman in the world. If you don't think that happens, I've seen it happen with some of my clients in banking before. And you would even tell them, hey, that's not a real person. Don't give them your banking information. Stop, but you're not their family. You don't control their finances. And then what would happen? They'd come in, months later and say, oh my gosh, somebody stole all my money. Yeah, we told you this was going to happen. Anyway, that's who Biden was, right? He's of the age and was of the age to fall for the Saudi prince scam, the boyfriend in Africa scam that just needs enough money to get home and then he's going to love you forever. We have to remember that that's real scams that are out there, and we had a president that was falling for the same thing, and it was that 1.5 million jobs were added to the labor numbers. I don't think he knew they were lying to him. I think he saw, oh man, we got the greatest economy ever. We're doing great. And we weren't. So there's that. All right, let's get into some of this redistricting stuff. A lot of you have probably seen this. I even had this conversation this morning with one of my friends. And, they're not obviously because you wouldn't know, so it's not obvious to you. They're not big Trump fans, and that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to be. But I respect this person. But they're like, well, what about Trump doing this redistricting? What about all this? Why they're redrawing the numbers? Well, this is from Real America's Voice and then Grace Chung on X.com. Representative Brian Harrison says maps should mirror the vote percentages. Okay. In California, the GOP, the grand old party, the Republicans, gets 40% of the voters. They have 17% of the House seats out of California. In Massachusetts, Republicans are 35% of the voters. They have 0 House seats in Massachusetts. In Connecticut, Republicans are 38% of the voters. They have 0 House seats. In New York, they are 42% of the voters, and they have 26% of the seats. In Maryland, they are 38% of the voters and get 12% of the seats. In New Mexico, there are 44% of the voters and get 0 seats. And they didn't even talk about Illinois. I don't know the exact number on it. But what I'm saying is, this isn't a new thing. Once again, like I said earlier, to the victor go the spoils. But the Democrats do it every time. The Democrats shove everything they want to do down our throats. And because we don't have the media, or haven't had, because the big three and even your CNNs and your MSNBCs and your Bloomberg and then all your publications, they're all for them. They never say anything about it. This is what's good for people. This is what's good for democracy. We're not a democracy. I think it was Thomas Sewell. No, I don't know. I was reading this morning, And it was somebody said, democracy leads to socialism, which leads to communism. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. They use democracy to sway you to thinking that we are. But if you want true representation, let's go with that. There are no blue states in this country when you look at a county-by-county breakdown. The only way the Democrats have any power, there are two. One, illegals counted in the census give them more representation than they're due. Two, the gerrymandering of districts carves out places around, major cities, which is where Democrats are, because that's where people want free stuff, right? Because remember, every Democrat is running for class president. We're going to give you free food, and we're going to give you free housing, and we're going to give you enough just to live a miserable life. All you have to do is vote for us. All you have to do is sell your soul and be slaves to us for 6 generations, but you'll never know it, and then we'll tell you we're trying to make it better for you. That's where we are. That's what has happened. Right? Don't worry about your family. The government's got you. Don't worry about staying married. The government's got you. Don't worry about health care. The government has you. Don't worry about having to go to work as unto the Lord. The government will replace the Lord, and he will provide for you. But you get $750 a month towards your rent. Or maybe it's $1,500, depending on where you are. And you can't really live in anywhere nice, but you can call the property manager and you can complain about it. And you can't afford to ever go on a vacation. But we'll make sure you have a free cell phone so you can look up and see what it looks like when we do. We'll advertise all the expensive stuff right around tax season, so that when we give you a tax refund that actually you never paid taxes on, that you get to spend that money, and instead of preparing for the future, because we haven't taught you how, you spend all your money in one shot. So you feel like you're somebody for a little bit. That's what the Democrats have asked of our people, and that's what they have done. Democrats are the party of slavery. And it all starts with gerrymandering these districts. It all started with the 17th Amendment, and before that. Okay, breaking news. This is from Dom Luker on X.com. Democrat Mayor Brandon Johnson, Chicago Democrat Mayor Brandon Johnson, has sent out a warning to Americans that Chicago's finances are at the point of no return if he doesn't get a massive tax hike. You can't tax your way to prosperity, because the people that pay the taxes will eventually leave. Look at, was it France or Britain? One of them put in a billionaire's tax. So all of a sudden they had a mass. I don't know what the word is. They had billionaires left in mass. We won't be here then. People with a whole lot of money don't have to stay where the taxes are high. Even look at California. Not everybody leaving California is rich, but what I've found is that a lot of the people that have leaving California have more conservative values. Because there's the saying, don't California or Texas. That's absolutely right. But, on average, they're coming here and they're conservative and they want this. Anyway, they're going to tax their way to prosperity. Well, we know that doesn't work. Look at New York. Look at Detroit. Look at Washington, D.C. Look at Chicago. Look at inner city Houston. Look at New Orleans. Look at all of these places that are run by Democrats. San Francisco. It never works. Never. Not one time. Let's see. What else we got? Okay. I'll probably end with this. Let me see. Looks like Jasmine Crockett's staff's turning against her because apparently she's hard to deal with. Oh, Argentina. Their middle class grew by 7 million people in the first quarter of this year. That's huge. Now, why aren't you hearing about this on the news? And this comes from Inevitable West at X.com. Why aren't you hearing that Argentina is growing their middle class? The reason is because they're cutting socialism. They're cutting regulations. They're getting rid of an oversome tax burden. He's allowing people to thrive. Well, that doesn't go for anything that we've been talking about. Javier Milei, or however you say his name, is doing amazing things down there in Argentina. Don't cry for them, because they're doing well and they're making it happen. And this can happen here if we cut the regulations too. All right, I'm going to get back to what I laughed at. The Guardian. Arctic expert predicts final collapse of sea ice within 4 years. Oh no. But don't worry, that article was written 13 years ago this year, and it never happened. And there's more ice. Don't fall for the narrative, whatever it is. We have to think critically. I'm not saying everything I say is right, but at least I think about it. I'm not just look, I've been against the man as long as I've known he was existed. Right? That's why I like the movie Undercover Brother. But the man ain't going to tell you the truth. 13 years ago, we were told we had 4 years left of ice. Not the case. Here's the deal. We know there have been ice ages. And if that's the case, we know it's warmed up and gotten colder at different times throughout the history of the earth. But I've never talked to anybody that was there. Right? When you can tell me what the weather's going to do next week accurately, maybe I'll start believing you, but you can't. It started raining last week out of nowhere in Texas at the end of July. Okay? Crazy. Here's the good news, and the good news is Jesus. He's here for you. All you have to do is ask him. Romans 10:9 and 10:10. If you believe in your heart and you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you will be saved. If you have any questions on that, email me, ZachRatliffShow@gmail.com. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here for the weekend. There's hope in Jesus. There's hope for this country. Things are looking up, and I hope you have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.